Okay, so imagine this. One narrow waterway, the Strait of Hormuz, controls nearly 20% of the world's oil supply, and right now, it's essentially at a standstill.
That's a staggering thought. Let's dive into why this matters and what's happening behind the scenes.
Welcome to DeActa Daily Digest. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Juniper. Here are today's top stories.
Let's start with the Middle East. The situation between the US, Iran, and Israel is heating up, and the Strait of Hormuz is at the center of it all. The US has imposed a blockade, and Iran is asserting its legal right to control the strait. It's a standoff with global implications.
And it's not just about politics. The Strait of Hormuz is a vital artery for global energy markets. Before the conflict, roughly 20 million barrels of oil passed through it daily. That's 1/5 of the world's oil supply. Disruptions here don't just affect the region, they ripple across the entire global economy.
Right, and the stakes are incredibly high. Trump has made it clear that the blockade will remain until a deal is finalized. But the terms of that deal are contentious. The U.S. insists that Iran must dismantle its nuclear program entirely, while Iran is pushing back, claiming it has the right to enrich uranium for peaceful purposes.
And then there's the human cost. The article highlights the casualties since February 28th. 12 Israeli soldiers, 23 civilians, and thousands injured in missile attacks. On the U.S. side, 13 service members have been killed. It's a stark reminder that these aren't just abstract policy debates, they're life and death issues for people on the ground.
And it's not just physical warfare, the cyber dimension is becoming increasingly significant. The article mentions a cyber campaign tied to Iran targeting the US, Israel, and the UAE. It's a whole new front in this conflict, and it shows how modern warfare is evolving.
That's a great point. And while all of this is happening, the Kurds are caught in the crossfire again, despite a ceasefire being in place. It's a fragile situation, and one wrong move could escalate things further.
And that brings us to the potential peace talks. The second article dives into this, describing a possible two-stage agreement. The first stage would reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and the second stage would involve negotiating the nuclear and technical issues. But even if they manage to get past the first stage, the second stage is where things could really get tricky.
The nuclear issue is a massive sticking point. The U.S. wants strict limits on Iran's enrichment capabilities and the surrender of its existing stockpile of highly enriched uranium. Iran, on the other hand, is resisting, arguing that it has the right to enrich uranium under international law.
And let's not forget the economic implications. Even if the strait reopens, restoring global energy markets to pre-war conditions will be a long and complicated process. It's not like flipping a switch. There are logistical hurdles to overcome: clearing bottlenecks, restarting production, repairing infrastructure.
And then there's the issue of oil prices. The article notes that Brent crude has been stubbornly high, and even with optimism about peace, we're not likely to see a significant drop anytime soon. It's a tough situation, and it's causing political ripples in the U.S.
Outgoing Congressman Thomas Massey's comments are particularly interesting. He's backing a short-term deal, citing high fuel and fertilizer costs for his constituents. It's a pragmatic stance, but it's also a reminder of how intertwined domestic and foreign policies are.
And it's not just Massey. House Speaker Mike Johnson is also framing the deal as a potential win for Republicans in the midterms, especially if it helps lower gas prices. But there's skepticism too, particularly from hawkish Republicans who doubt Iran's compliance.
And then there's the international perspective. The UK and the European Union are urging for guarantees on freedom of navigation through the strait, while Pakistan, Qatar, and Oman are playing mediator roles. It's a web of diplomacy, and it's not clear how it will all unfold.
What struck me was the symbolic timing of the negotiations. They're happening on the anniversary of Khorramshahr's liberation, a significant moment in Iran's history. It's a potent backdrop for talks that could redefine the region's future.
It really is. And speaking of redefining futures, let's shift gears to our third article about Victor Wembanyama. This story is such a fascinating contrast to the heavy geopolitics we've been discussing.
Absolutely. Wembanyama is doing something that analytics can't fully capture: instilling fear in his opponents. It's not just about the stats, although those are impressive enough. It's about how his mere presence on the court changes the game,
The article mentions that opposing players are altering their strategies just because Wembanyama is nearby. Drives to the rim are abandoned, and offensive options are rethought. It's a psychological impact that's hard to quantify, but impossible to ignore.
And his physical attributes are just otherworldly. At 7'4" with a wingspan to match, he's not just a rim protector, he's a game disruptor. The fact that he's already a unanimous Defensive Player of the Year at age 22 says a lot.
It really does. And then there's the historical context. Setting an NBA playoff record with 12 blocks in a single game is incredible. But what's even more intriguing is how experts believe his stats understate his true influence.
Former coach Mike D'Antoni's comment stood out to me. That's why he's going to be MVP for the next 10 years. It's a bold prediction, but watching Wembanyama in action, it doesn't seem far-fetched.
Not at all. And it's not just his defense. The article notes how disciplined and instinctive he is. Hall of Famer Dwyane Wade even said he has no weaknesses. That's high praise coming from someone who's seen it all.
It's fascinating how the article ties his impact to analytics limitations. Despite all the advanced metrics in basketball today, there's still no way to fully measure the psychological effect he has on his opponents.
It's a reminder that sports, like geopolitics, aren't always about the numbers. There's a human element, fear, strategy, psychology, that can't be easily quantified but makes all the difference.
Well said. So, whether it's the high-stakes diplomacy of the Middle East or the psychological chess game of the NBA, today's stories remind us of the complexities that define both arenas.
Absolutely. And if there's one takeaway from all this, it's that progress, whether in peace talks or on the basketball court, requires navigating a lot of moving parts. It's never simple, but it's always fascinating to watch.
Couldn't agree more. Let's see how these stories evolve in the coming days. Until next time.
Until next time.